Hi, thank you for joining us today. On our last podcast episode discussing carbonisation, an interesting term was used when examining if Europe was on track to meet designated 2030-2035 decarbonisation goals. That term was transitional fuels. Ping, can you tell us what is meant by the term transitional fuels?
Sure. The EU has set out an intermediate target of reducing net emissions by 55% by 2030. In this context, a transitional fuel means a substitute low-carbon fuel for higher content fossil fuels to reduce CO2 emissions in the near future.
And Joost, can you clarify what is considered a transitional fuel?
Sure, Kidya. Now, compared to the conventional fossil fuels, such as more the oil-derived petrol and diesel, any type of fuel that contributes to the Fit for 55 reduction targets that Ping was referring to as well, and reduces emissions, that could be considered a transitional fuel. Ultimate goal, obviously, is going to net carbon zero emission transport, but also the technology needs to be mature and scalable for this. It needs to be able to refuel, and also the business case to run on it from a fleet owner perspective needs to be sound. Natural gas, they play a big role in the transition as it's the cleanest of all fossil fuels, the cleanest burning, and it also emits significantly less CO2 than traditional fuels that are offered to the market today. And also because the refueling infrastructure for natural gas, both for CNG, for lighter duty vehicle applications, but also LNG for the more demanding long haul applications, it is in place and growing. So we can already start benefiting today from the emission advantages that natural gas as itself is offering.
And why are transitional fuels important as Europe and the world work towards decarbonization and net zero goals?
Yeah, as many of you have known, that the Repower EU plan of May 2022 highlighted the need to phase out fossil fuels and accelerate the clean energy transition. In the meantime, science tells us must be rapid to avoid the worst consequences of climate change. So a quick transition away from conventional fossil fuels, which requires minimum investment in infrastructure, would make for a good bridge. And transitional fuels are able to provide that bridge before renewable energies technological viability can surpass its challenges to produce secure and sustained energy.
Okay, Joost, can you maybe go into a bit more detail about the role of LNG and CNG in today's energy transition?
Sure, yeah. CNG, also LNG, it's more like the source is methane as itself. It really is an ecological but also an economical alternative to diesel and petrol in today's fuel offering. Ecological because of the fact that it hardly emits any air pollutants from the tailpipe. Also because it can achieve CO2 reduction of already up to 30% from its fossil origin. And another benefit from natural gas powered mobility is the fact that they reduce the noise by around 50%, the so-called peak quiet certification, which enables hauliers that operate for supermarket chains to deliver the goods during the night time and hence avoid operational cost from the daily delivery that comes with more traffic jams in general. Also economical because of the fuel efficiency of natural gas and affordable nozzle prices compared to traditional fuels. So there is a really a business case from a fleet owner perspective to run on these type of natural gas powered vehicles. And another prerequisite, obviously, to run on the fuel and for adoption is that it is available today. There is a dense underground network of natural gas in many areas of the world where you can connect grid-connected CNG compressor systems to. And also the majority of the LNG import terminals nowadays facilitate offloading of LNG for more smaller scale applications. And therefore, we see there is an installed base, there is an existing network of natural gas refueling stations, and this is continuously growing.
Ping, did you have anything to add to that?
Maybe put it into a more regional perspective. In mature markets like the United States and European Union, switching to natural gas through CNG and LNG is a compelling near-term option for reducing emissions, given existing infrastructure, spare capacity, and more importantly, the affordability. While natural gas plays a more prolonged role in emerging economies that are very carbon intensive today, helping to push more polluting fuels out of the system, notably in China and India's industrial sectors.
Yeah, maybe if I may add something on also fuel availability. Yeah, I was referring indeed to the station network. But besides, there are also many OEMs, original equipment manufacturers on the trucking side and the vehicle side, that really focusing on an offering on LNG with off-the-shelf products for long-haul applications that also offer diesel-like engine performances in terms of torque, but also horsepowers. And the same basically applies for CNG. There are many passenger car manufacturers and light-duty vehicle OEMs that also offer off-the-shelf products for CNG with full factory warranty, and also the tanks, the high-pressure CNG cylinders that are really integrated into the chassis of the vehicles, and hence do not take any trunk space, like, for example, was the case with LPG retrofitted vehicles back then.
I'm interested to know what the impact is of transitional fuels in the fuel and convenience retail industry, or more generally, the transport industry.
Yeah, it's a good question. The impact of transitional fuels varies by region and also by sectors within the transport industry. For example, in India, we'll see rapid growth of CNG stations over the next few years due to the government subsidies. In many other countries, we'll see more and more mandates of biofuel blending, encouraging use of ethanol, biodiesel, and possibly some synthetic fuels, all of which are aiming at a quick emission reduction in near term. And for CNG and LNG specifically, I believe we'll see an increased use of biogas for even better life cycle greenhouse gas emission.
And Joost, in your opinion, does natural gas or transitional fuels such as CNG or LNG help or hinder the energy transition?
I believe CNG and LNG really help the energy transition, as fossil CNG and LNG are great transitional fuels to the ultimate goal, which is biomethane. Now, biomethane, with that we can generate CO2 savings of even up to 100%. They can be achieved. So biomethane really is a renewable fuel that is produced out of organic waste, such as manure, sewage sludge, or vegetable waste. The process works via a digestion process of the waste into raw biogas with around 65% of methane. Via purification step, this raw biogas is being converted into very pure biomethane by the removal of H2S and CO2. And this biomethane can be used as bio-CNG through the grid, but also as bio-LNG after that a liquefaction step then takes place. The biogas potential is really sufficient to meet the European targets from the renewable energy target of 8 BCM in 2030. We really see more and more initiatives across the globe where biomethane is being produced locally. And the interesting thing from a service station owner perspective is that for CNG and LNG, the refueling stations that are installed and under construction, they really are future-proof and capable of making the transition to renewable bio-CNG or bio-LNG in due course. As these stations, like the vehicles that run on it, they don't sense whether the fuel is being derived from fossil origin or from renewable sources, which is the end goal, obviously.
Thank you. That's really insightful, Joost.